I'm going to take you through a few of our opening warm-up exercises. These are all meant to help perfect your hand-eye coordination. The first thing is to make a horizontal line. And if you do this, if you just kind of get a feel for where it's going before you actually make your line, you'll have a better chance of keeping it perfectly straight. And now we're always concerned about proportion and scale. So a very important skill is to be able to divide a line like that in half. Divide it into quarters. And divide it into eighths. So line division, that's something you can practice anytime, anywhere. The other thing is to be able to make a line same length and parallel to the one above it. Make another line, make it longer. And divide that in half. And not be confused by what's above it. You have to be able to look at it all by itself and assess it all by itself. When we're working in perspective, quite often we have several things going at once on the page, and it can get a little confusing. So this ability to work with several lines all at once is very important. Now try some vertical lines. This is about handedness. Sometimes people find it much easier to pull the lines toward you, and some people find it easier to push away from you. This is something you'll have to discover on your own as you keep working and trying new things. And dividing. This line's a little bit longer this way, so my middle isn't going to be in the same place. So you see, it's just a matter of being able to isolate what it is you're working on and not see the other things around it. Try some diagonals. Now, this feels more comfortable. I'm standing, so my head won't be in the way of the camera. So I'm pulling the line toward me. I'm going to do a parallel. Try to keep it the same length. That's pretty shaky, so I'll try going this way. If I could turn my paper, this is more comfortable for me. That's something that's crucial, is to discover your area of comfort, your direction of comfort, your handedness, and that comes with time and practice. So if I have this to do in a sketch, I will turn my paper around so that I can do these lines pulling toward me the way I did these lines. Another exercise that's really helpful is to give yourself a point, give yourself another point, and draw a line connecting them. We're using vanishing points all the time, so we have to be able to, in a quick sketch, get the perspective correct. And you can do phantom lines. Don't put anything down yet until you get a feel for it, get the right angle. And then to draw something parallel to that would be invaluable. So I got a little skinnier toward the end, so I'm a little off there. So this is the sort of thing, it seems quite mundane and unimportant, but it's quite crucial. Something else that's quite important to be able to do is to create a 45-degree angle. So I'm watching, I'm trying to get the same amount of space on the other side. So you have to be careful what you're doing. I think I went a little too far, so I'm going to correct that a little bit. And now, this is a 90-degree angle. This is a 90-degree angle. A 45 would split that right in half. So I'm going to do my phantom line again to see that see if I can get that right through the center, and also judge how far I'm going this way. That's the tricky part, because I think I've gone not quite far enough out here. And then I'm going to do a phantom line this way and try to do the same thing. Oops, not so successful, and this one is longer. Okay, so now in working in pen, there's no erasing, and this is crucial, because when you're working with a client, you don't erase. You draw quickly and accurately, and that's why we do all of these exercises, so that you won't have something embarrassing when you get there. And then try drawing a curvilinear line around this whole thing. And you're looking at several things at once. How much space did you leave at the tip of the other lines, and how much space are you leaving here? And you're trying not to touch the lines. So this is actually quite a good thing to doodle, to be able to find your way around, navigate your way around. We've done verticals, horizontals, diagonals, but curvilinear lines, they're very important. So you want to do separate exercises for those. Now, we have to find the center of this line, bring it up, and then you curve. Now I'm going to turn this upside down, because I know I'm going to have a much better chance of making this a curve if I do that. And you'll find that out for yourself as well. So there's my curve. And I can echo that curve. If I put a mark, I can echo that curve. Oops. So you see? I need more practice. And this is extremely important. Often our light fixtures are nothing more than one ellipse over top and an ellipse down below. I think that's too far. So again, we're joining dots. And to give it some dimension, we can add a little bit above, another curve, another curve. Okay. Another thing that's helpful is contour lining. So following the contour, you can add a little bit of depth and dimension to anything with a double line. That's very helpful. So practice your double lines as well. Also gives you a chance to correct any of your little problems. So we all have little problems. And we'll get into some hatching and cross-hatching as well. Let's put it all together and make a little room. So our first decision is to make a back wall. And if we're facing it, we're going to have a wall that looks like that. We don't need any angles right now because we're facing it. It's facing us throughout its whole width and its whole length. Now, it's important to establish where you are in relation to what you're drawing. So if we're standing, and this is about 8 feet, let's divide that into 8. We've done that already. So we'll divide that into half, and we'll divide half again, and 8s, divide 8s. Okay, if we're at 8 feet, an average standing eye level is about 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'll bring that dot across with my phantom line. And I'll join them first here. And then I'll keep on going because the eye level influences everything that's going on in the whole room. And I'll put it in the middle. you could be standing anywhere. This dot represents where you're standing to make that drawing. And every drawing must look as though it's been drawn from one single point of view, not many, because we don't see that way. Remember, our job is to represent the world the way that everyone sees it. And then remember joining the dots. We joined the dots, so now we're doing the same thing. We're joining the dot, but we're going to keep on going, because that's our back wall, and we need a line for the floor. So we're going to just keep on going. And we're going to do the other wall, which is easier for me because I'm drawing toward myself. If I could do it, I'd be turning this paper round and round to make this easier for me. So early on, as early as you can, find your handedness. Discover what that is. Drawing toward you or drawing away from you. And this is going to be a little scary, I can know already, because it's not my way to draw. Okay. So now we have a space, a back wall, two side walls, a floor, and a ceiling. And we've used all of our horizontal and vertical techniques. We've used the measuring, dividing up for measure. We've used diagonals and horizontals. And now, let's try this again, but we're going to put it over here. So we're going to make a... So let's ignore everything else around you and divide that into 8. So you have to just look past everything else and divide this into 8. And anytime you're on a bus or a subway or anything that allows you a few moments to yourself, just to sketch or doodle, this is the kind of thing that would be most beneficial to you. Even just taking these lines and dividing them up. I know it seems easy and simple, but it's not as easy as it looks once you get started. Okay, so now we have our line divided up into 8 parts, and if we make a curvilinear line, you can see already where this is going. You make a straight line, a diagonal line. So we're just using, and at 4 we'll maybe tilt the hip this way. So already you can see where this is going. And here another diagonal. We'll put a diagonal out this way, diagonal down this way, one down this way, one over here, one over here. Another diagonals, rounding out, a curvilinear line. So you can see that these simple shapes, these geometric simple shapes, are going to lead to anything we want to draw, anything at all. They need refinement and softening and smoothing out, but it's a start. It's a good start to building something more complex. I think I can take this down. So that's the eye, and we'll go into more of this in more detail as we move along. So our curvilinear line, we can use that as well. There's our vanishing point here. So if I want to make a straight line and make this a straight line. I've been pressing so that you can see the lines, so the camera can see the lines, but you don't need to press. You can work softly and lightly until you have something you want. And then of course there are the phantom lines that really help, and also turning your paper. The ability to turn your paper can't be emphasized enough. As you can see from mine, I'm getting some pretty warbly looking things. Now for our draperies at the back, we can, And this, of course, we haven't added any thicknesses or anything like that, but that can be added too. And draperies, they can be a little warbly. They don't have to be as constrained. And you can turn the wall the other way with another vertical. And you can put something on the wall. So this again is joining that dot. We had a dot to join. Our dot is our vanishing point, but you don't have to visit it every time. You can it's another good way to work, of course, is start off. Now we're adding some depth by putting that plane on. So, okay, and we can add a carpet. And again, that joining the dot, that's our dot, and we're joining it up down here. There's our dot, and we're joining it up down here, a phantom line. And you can put a pattern on here. So you see, it's easy to make use of all of our information. And we could put a light up here. That's our curvilinear line again. There's our center. And we'll make a curve, a gentle curve going this way, a curve going that way. So, and then it's just a matter of refining all of the shapes.